What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new video where we have to talk about the state of the refereeing and the state of VAR in English football, because there were so many incredibly bad controversial decisions over the weekend in English football that now I reached the point where I think VAR is actually ruining football and ruining the football experience, and the way that English referees use VAR just completely ruins the Premier League experience. And the Premier League is supposed to be the most entertaining league in the world. It's definitely not the best league in the world. It has been proven in Europe this season, and also Man City are on the verge of winning 6 Premier League titles out of the last 7 seasons. So the Premier League is, one team league right now as it stands. But the way that the English referees use VAR is absolutely unacceptable. And I agree with Nottingham Forest's statement that they have to question the integrity of the official. How on earth is it possible that the PGMOL, the refereeing union, put a Luton fan in charge of VAR in a game where Nottingham Forest and Everton play each other, and Nottingham Forest are 1 point ahead of Luton Town? So how would a Luton Town fan referee be completely unbiased and completely neutral? He wouldn't. Who had this bright idea to put a Luton fan in charge of VAR? And Stuart Atwell was the guy in charge of VAR, and he didn't give Nottingham Forest 3 penalties. Not 1, not 2, but 3 penalties. And 2 of them were pretty stonewall penalties. The handball by Ashley Young and the kick from behind from Ashley Young as well. They were 2 absolutely stonewall penalties. The first penalty incident, you could call it a 50-50 because the player, after getting kicked, plants his foot. But you saw some of those incidents given in other games. And Mark Clattenburg, who is a refereeing consultant at Nottingham Forest, wrote a detailed article in the Daily Mail questioning the referee. And you know what has just come out from Craig Hope, who is a journalist? He said, and he confirmed, that Howard Webb told Nottingham Forest he would not remove Stuart Atwell from duty at Everton after Howard Webb was made aware of the VAR being a Luton Town fan. Every referee has to confirm where he is from and which club he supports, and Stuart Atwell, when he became a Premier League referee and VAR referee, confirmed to the PGMOL that he's a Luton Town fan. So Howard Webb not knowing that he's a Luton Town fan is an absolute disgrace. It's a scandal, because that should be his job. During an 8-minute conversation with Mark Clattenburg, a consultant, a refereeing consultant to Nottingham Forest's board, Howard Webb said that he didn't know that Stuart Atwell was a Luton Town supporter. So how can you not know when that's your job to know who the referee supports? It's like a Manchester City fan refereeing, a Liverpool-Manchester City game. It's almost as bad as that. It's absolutely scandalous. And also it's just another nail in the coffin of English refereeing, because the way that Michael Oliver has influenced the title race and influenced the FA Cup semi-final of the Man City-Chelsea FA Cup semi-final, Michael Oliver was working for Manchester City's owners, refereeing in the United Arab Emirates. I made a whole video about this. And he's still allowed to referee Man City games, and he's allowed to referee the rivals of Man City as well, clearly directly influencing the outcome of the games. And that's what VAR has come down to in English football, to influence the result and to put whoever is in charge of VAR, whoever is in charge of the refereeing, they can influence the results without any consequences. And it's very telling that many pundits and many journalists are calling out Nottingham Forest's statement instead of blaming the referees and making them better in this process. They blame Nottingham Forest. What is Nottingham Forest supposed to do? Gary Neville said they should just let the manager curse out the referee and and get him fined, and then Nottingham Forest can cover that fine, and that's it. But that has absolute no consequences on the refereeing. Nottingham Forest have time and time again been very harshly refereed in the Premier League multiple times. Clear decisions went against Nottingham Forest, so they are, and very rightly so, absolutely fed up of this process. They know that nothing will change if just the manager Nuno Espirito Santo criticizes referees, because he did it before and nothing has changed. The referees and the PGMOL, it's like a cartel at this point, that like nothing happens to them no matter what you do, and that's unacceptable in my opinion. Mainstream pundits actually shaming clubs who are calling out consistently bad officiating have outed themselves for what they are. They are part of the establishment. They are part of the guys who just want the PGMOL to have a free reign dictatorship over Premier League football. They did the same when Liverpool made a statement, when a perfectly good goal of Luis Diaz was disallowed and Liverpool was asking for consequences in a statement and nothing happened. The referee and the VAR referee, they went on a 1 week holiday or 2 week holiday, and that was their punishment. That's it. And they keep refereeing Premier League games like nothing happened. It's absolutely scandalous what is happening in the Premier League, and the VAR is absolutely ruining the fan experience. And the pundits of Sky Sports, even Jamie Carragher, who should be calling out bad referees, they are scared of annoying the hand that feeds them, which is the Premier League. The Premier League is in bed with PGMOL. Mark Clattenburg said in his column in the Daily Mail, the referee Stuart Atwell, who is a Luton Town fan, he had a hat-trick of howlers to deny Nottingham Forest 3 penalties, and it's mind-boggling that this can happen, and all of this could have been avoided by refereeing chiefs. One of these errors would have been bad enough. 3 is a joke, Mark Clattenburg says, and that is why Nottingham Forest were left feeling victimized after another defeat in which 0 big decisions went their way. Normally, referees make bad decisions which affect both teams. And that's why I think the Premier League should revert back to, semi-automatic offside calls from next season. That's fine, because the referees can't influence that. And goal line technology should be in play. There was a big incident in the El Clasico. I watched it because my wife is a Barcelona fan, and of course I would watch a Real Madrid-Barcelona game. And Barcelona had a goal which was, I think it looked over the line. I can't be 100% certain, but I didn't understand why La Liga doesn't have goal line technology, because it's literally the one technology that doesn't take any time, and it's also free of subjective biased decisions. It's objective, it's instant, the referee gets a beep and a text on his watch if it's a goal or if it's not a goal. So the VAR referee Stuart Atwell, who is a Luton Town fan, he himself declared himself a Luton Town fan. He had to send Anthony Taylor. By the way, this was again Anthony Taylor. Are you surprised anymore? So he doesn't give any of these penalties. And Stuart Atwell, who is a Luton fan, he doesn't want Nottingham Forest to get any points, because Nottingham Forest is 1 point ahead of Luton Town, and that could be the difference between Luton staying up or getting relegated. Nottingham Forest getting a win or a draw against Everton is bad for Luton. So Stuart Atwell didn't send Anthony Taylor to the monitor, not even once out of these 3 incidents. And Mark Clattenburg argues these situations were precisely why video technology was brought into the Premier League. It was a hat-trick of howlers, and you will have seen the statement released by Nottingham Forest, how the PGMOL were contacted to warn that it was inappropriate, it was wrong to appoint a Luton fan to be in charge of VAR, to play such a pivotal role in a massive match that would impact the race against relegation. If you are the head of the referees, why would you risk such a situation even occurring? You shouldn't allow referees to referee games where the outcome of that game influences directly the team that they support. And also, what was very telling is Michael Oliver, when Ashley Young kicked Taylor from behind, or whoever the Nottingham Forest player was. It wasn't Taylor, sorry, it was Hudson-Odoi. Taylor is playing for Burnley. So Hudson-Odoi was kicked from behind by Ashley Young, and Michael Oliver signaled he got the ball. But the replays clearly showed he didn't. VAR has to tell Michael Oliver, after Michael Oliver is saying into his microphone he got the ball, because you could clearly see him gesturing that he thinks Ashley Young got the ball. The VAR referee has to tell him, no, he didn't. I watched multiple replays and multiple angles of that. He doesn't get the ball. He kicks through the leg of Hudson-Odoi. The ball rolls forward and no penalty is given. But that's what VAR is for. He should be called to the monitor, Michael Oliver, by the VAR referee Stuart Atwell. So it's very suspicious that the VAR referee, who's a Luton Town fan, doesn't tell Michael Oliver to go to the monitor. I bet they won't release the conversation that was happening at that time. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion. Also, Ian Herbert is of course defending the referees in another Daily Mail column. He thinks that this outburst takes Nottingham Forest down into the sewers of the game. He's claiming that Nottingham Forest are trashing their legacy by calling out the corrupt, awful referees. What does that tell you about English media outlets? What does that tell you about English pundits? That instead of them trying to improve the Premier League by calling out blatant, obvious, awful refereeing mistakes, instead they blame the clubs who have to put out these statements because nothing changes. And I love it that in the comments they are absolutely ripping Ian Herbert into shreds. One commenter said, "So Ian, what were Forest meant to do in response to 3 penalties not being given? Politely ask and accept the reasons behind it? No. Instead they have called out PGMOL out with good reason. Why on earth? Who on earth had the bright idea of putting a Luton Town fan in charge of VAR? Imagine if Liverpool were denied 3 penalties by a Man City fan official on VAR duties to stop them winning the title. What would Carragher have to say then?" And that's the problem. Even Jamie Carragher is not calling out referees because probably they have a protocol at Sky Sports that they can't criticize the referees too much, because Sky Sports are directly benefiting from Premier League money, so the Premier League doesn't want too much criticism on the referees. They are shielding the referees basically from criticism, and that doesn't improve the refereeing, that actually makes them worse. How many awful decisions were there? Another one, FA Cup semi-final, absolutely brilliant game. Man United are 3-0 up after 66 minutes. Anthony is coming on. Now suddenly it's 3-3 with a last minute penalty. One of the greatest FA Cup comebacks in the history of the competition. Luton Town hit the post and the bar twice, and then in the 121st minute Luton Town score a goal. They celebrate like crazy because they think they knocked the mighty Manchester United out of the FA Cup, and Coventry City, sorry if I said Luton Town, so Coventry City come back from 3-0 down to knock Man United out of the FA Cup. They don't have VAR in the Championship, so they are not used to just waiting and seeing whether the goal is standing or not. And then they put the lines up and it looks completely level, but because they put the line on Wan-Bissaka's shoe instead of in front of his shoe, so instead of putting the line here, they put the line here. Here. So the line, instead of being here, the line is here. And basically you can make any kind of close VAR call, offside or onside, whether you put the line here or here, it makes a massive difference. And because whoever puts the lines there wants Manchester United to go through, it's disallowed. Coventry City aren't allowed to have that goal. It goes to penalties and Man United win the penalty shootout. And Anthony, the classless, absolute prick, does this to the Coventry City players. He did absolutely nothing, not just in this game, but throughout the whole of his Manchester United career so far, and yet he has the audacity to taunt the Coventry City players like this, celebrating in their face when they are a championship team. Man United were embarrassed of going through in this fashion because Coventry City were the better team. From the second half onwards, they were the better team. And they got very, very unlucky. Football is corrupt, and I'm more and more convinced of that because the evidence is an absolutely mountain of evidence that we have. Another fan is saying, it is about time the officials are called out. In 50 years of watching football, I've never seen worse. They are simply not fit for purpose. I'm not a fan of Nottingham Forest, but my God, 2 of those penalties were Stonewall penalties. What should Nottingham Forest do? The players, the manager, Nottingham Forest, the whole club, they're working so hard to avoid relegation. You put a Luton fan in charge of VAR. Even Dominic King, who I respected before he wrote this article, that Nottingham Forest overstepped the mark with disgraceful statement accusing officials of lacking impartiality. But how can you not accuse the VAR referee of lacking impartiality when he has all the replays, all the technology at his fingertips, and he decides not to call any of those incidents penalties? I mean, you can say from the first incident that some referees say it's a penalty, some referees don't. That's fine. Let's say, okay, he said it's not a penalty on the first one, but the second and third incidents are absolute Stonewall penalties. Wan-Bissaka had the same handball incident called as a penalty by the referee in the FA Cup. Was the same handball that Ashley Young did for Everton against Nottingham Forest. The one, it gets called as a penalty and VAR confirms it, and the other doesn't get called as a penalty by the referee, and VAR doesn't confirms that's not a penalty. So that's the main problem of football fans: the inconsistency. If in one game it's a penalty for a handball and in the other it's not, then that's not great for the Premier League football. But the third one is an absolute Stonewall penalty, and I mean the handball rule is also very ambiguous, but the third one you can't argue that's an acceptable decision. Because if you have multiple angles, multiple replays, and you can watch it, there is no referee in the world who should say that's not a penalty. But because the referee doesn't give it, they hide behind this phrase that it's not a clear and obvious error. It is a clear and obvious error. And I'm really disappointed by Jamie Carragher that saying Nottingham Forest's response is like a fan in the pub talking and it's an embarrassment. You know what's an embarrassment? You defending the referees and the PGMOL, because you are a Liverpool fan and you should be standing with the fans. And the fans are smart. Fans are seeing through their bull crap that Nottingham Forest put out a statement, and Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher and a lot of other pundits are trashing Nottingham Forest instead of calling out the referee and calling out the whole process. This shouldn't happen. A Luton fan shouldn't be in charge of VAR, refereeing a rival relegation candidate club. It's absolutely disgraceful, and this whole process needs changing. And until it changes, the fans should use their voice to keep criticizing the referees, put as much heat on them as possible. And I fully support these clubs putting out these statements, because something needs to change quickly in English football, because they are ruining it. I want VAR gone from the Premier League until they improve the refereeing, because until they don't, there is no point. Literally, VAR is just there to influence the results. That's my opinion. Let me know what is yours in the comments below, and thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.